We planned that I was going to go for my studies in the UK first. Then when I settled down, I would send for her. It's been 2 years now and I've met someone else who I plan on settling down with. How do I go about telling Miriam about it? I got married when I was 26. I was very young and naive. I met Miriam while we were both in the university. We started dating and we decided to settle down after our service was over. I got a job immediately after school as a data analyst in a big company. Miriam got a job as a caterer in a fast food outlet. I made a lot of money and decided to get married as we planned. Married life was sweet at first. We had our little quarrels but nothing serious. Then I realized as I moved ahead in my company, more opportunities came my way. More opportunities came with more money, more access to the finer things in life. Miriam now had her own restaurant. She was doing well and so was I. My company had an opportunity to grant a staff an all-paid scholarship to further their education. I was piqued and I told Miriam about it. She insisted that I go first and when I am settled, she would come join me. I knew I couldn't force her. She loved her restaurant business and she didn't want to just leave it in the hands of someone else. So I obliged and traveled alone. We talked every day. I told her I had started classes and gotten a place to stay. Alex, my neighbor, was from the UK. She was also a student in my faculty. We would go to school together, she would show me around town and we would get groceries and other stuff I needed. Soon, we became very close. One day, I was rushing home for a meeting when I realized I did not have my key on me. I looked everywhere for it but no luck. My meeting was to start very soon and my battery was very low on my laptop. I decided to knock on Alex's door and ask her for a solution. To my surprise, she told me to come over to her place and charge my laptop while she called the house agent to come with a spare key, though I would need to pay him for the trip and key. I obliged, thanking her for the help. I immediately plugged my laptop to the socket to charge while I waited for my meeting to start. After the meeting, the agent had still not arrived. Alex asked if I would like a glass of wine and I accepted. We talked and spent time getting to know each other better. She was a widow, was married for 2 years, but her husband died in a car accident and she decided to go back to school. She also owns a cake shop. I told her about my wife and how she also owns a restaurant. We talked a whole lot and I forgot about my door. The agent called to say he wouldn't be able to make it because of the weather. It had started to snow and it was risky. Alex said I could spend the night on the sofa if I don't mind. Of course, what choice did I have? We watched the movie and she made us spaghetti with bolognese sauce. It was delicious. It made me remember my wife and her food back home. It was nothing like it though. I slept on the couch. Miriam had called and I had to explain what happened when she heard Alex's voice in the background. She knew I had never cheated on her or had any reason to. Later in the morning, the agent came over with the spare key. I paid him and he left. I thanked Alex for the hospitality and to make up for what she did, I invited her to dinner and she accepted. I booked a dinner at a restaurant close to the house and she met me there. We had a light dinner and drank a lot of wine. Alex liked her wine and I followed suit. She started talking about her husband and how she missed him so much. I knew it was time to go. So I paid for the meal and told her we better start heading home. When we got to her door, she invited me in, but I told her some other time. I left immediately to my apartment. I knew she was vulnerable and I was also a little tipsy. I immediately took a bath and went to sleep. I woke up to 10 missed calls from my wife. I realized I was to call her but it totally slipped my mind. I decided I would do so after class. When classes were over, I made my way home. I saw Alex and greeted her, but she didn't reply. I made sure to go closer to where she was as I said hi, but she still didn't reply. I decided I would let her be. I got home, called my wife, and she didn't even let me land before she went ballistic on me for not calling her. I tried explaining to her, but she wasn't listening. I knew it must be her time of the month, so I let her be. After she was done, I calmed her down and told her I was sorry. She told me she misses me, and I told her I do as well. I missed her a lot. The next day, I met Alex again while I was going to class. I said hi to her, but she didn't say anything. I felt I was disturbing her, so I told myself I would not bother greeting her anymore. When I got home later that day, I was preparing to take a shower and call Miriam afterwards. As soon as I finished taking a bath, I heard a knock on the door. I immediately went to ask who it was. I couldn't mistake the voice. It was Alex. I opened the door still in my towel. I apologized as I told her I was just done taking a bath. She asked if she could talk to me. I invited her in and excused myself to change into something proper. I got into the sitting room and she was seated watching the TV I had left on before she arrived. I asked if I could get something to drink, but she declined. I sat opposite her as I waited to hear why she wanted to talk to me. She started by apologizing to me for being silly. She told me she didn't have any right to be upset with me for not accepting her invite to her house the other day. I told her it was nothing. She told me she really liked me. She was very much attracted to me and I seemed like a very nice guy. I told her I was married and I intended to keep my marriage vows. She told me she clearly understands, but she hadn't been with a man since her husband passed away, and then all of a sudden I came her way and she hasn't been able to get over me. I told her I was sorry I made her feel that way. She said it's not my fault, but she needed to get it out of her chest. I told her it's nothing, even though it was the craziest thing I had ever heard. And she told me my wife was very lucky to have me, and she wishes he had a man like myself. I felt really sad at that moment for her. I almost felt like hugging her, but I knew I wouldn't be able to stop at just a hug. Alex is a beautiful young woman. At 28, she's really been through a lot. I wish I could offer her the kind of love she required, but I loved Miriam. She got up and told me she'd be on her way. As I approached the door to open it, she reached out to me and hugged me.